Scandinavian Bob here, hi. A few days ago I posted a graph I had made during one of my many rebooting streaks, and it was this graph that you can see right here. Now, since then I got some requests if I could talk a bit about how it felt to be down here and what I typically experienced then. Well, sure, I can do that. As I've said before, most of the time day 1 was actually not that bad for me, but already on day 2 I started to feel worse. And when day 3 rolled around, oh man, I was deep down. Now, during the first low days here, I would have really big problems with procrastinating. You know, even those small daily tasks like shaving, washing your face and brushing your teeth took a lot of effort. Never mind all the bigger projects. Yeah, it was very difficult to muster up any kind of energy to work on those. During these first days, it was more like I had fear-based motivation. You know, I only managed to do things if I knew there would be some negative consequences if I didn't. Now, this is typical of low dopamine, by the way, as dopamine is what gives us drive and makes us want to achieve things for the achieving in and of itself. And for me, this was really noticeable during the first, I'd say, 2 to 8 days or so. Another interesting thing I noticed here was that during my low periods, I would almost always have watery, lifeless eyes. Yeah, when I looked myself in the mirror, it was like my whites of my eyes were not clear. It's kind of like if you ever seen a dead fish lying on the beach. Well, if you look at the eyes of that fish, it's like they're a kind of gray, full of thick water and just lack life. In fact, I used to call my own eyes dead fish eyes right around here. Another thing I suffered with was an increased craving for junk food, alcohol, and basically any instant gratification thing my brain could come up with. And obviously this is again because of the dopamine levels are so low that we desperately feel a need to ramp them up by using some low-value dopamine activities, which, by the way, will not work in the long run. My anxiety was always worse when I was down here. Now, I still have anxiety to this day, but back then when I was rebooting and after a relapse binge, it was so much worse. For example, I have a neurological condition called essential tremors, which makes my hands a bit shaky, and during these hellish days, both my anxiety and my tremors were maybe 3 times or perhaps even 5 times worse. Now, once I got past the first 8 days or so, those daily chores that I talked about started to become easier to do again, and the biggest cravings for junk food and things like that started to subside a bit. But my mood was still very low, and many of you have heard me talk about something I call the void that I often experienced in the 2nd to 3rd week. The void often started somewhere around day 8, 9 or 10 and sometimes lasted a week or so. And it was basically a feeling of extreme emptiness. But yeah, those were my most common negative experiences, along with insomnia, of course, depression, anxiety, loss of morning wood and drive, no desire to meet, talk to or approach real life people, and so on. But then, as you can see, slowly but surely things started to improve and life started to get easier. Speaking of anxiety, if this is something you suffer with, then listen up here. This video is brought to you by Provanax, the best supplement I've ever tried for reducing stress, insomnia and anxiety. Now, the reason why I'm proud to promote this on my channel is because I've been using it on and off for years, even long before I started my YouTube channel. And second, well, because it actually works really well. So if you are struggling with anxiety or high levels of stress and you're looking for something that can give you a break from it from time to time, then consider giving Provanax a try. Personally, I can say that I can feel the effects as soon as 30 minutes after taking it, but then after 2 hours it kicks in even stronger. Now, luckily my anxiety is much better today than it was a few years ago, but I still use it from time to time when I'm going through some tougher periods in my life. So, if this sounds interesting to you, then click the link under the video where it says Provanax right now, and you can check current pricing over at the online vendor. Alright, this is Scandinavian Bob signing out for today, and as always I wish you all the best in your journey to become the strongest version of yourself. And remember, if you're going through hell, keep going.